Woof woof! Hello everybody, Shuffle Woof here with a new album review. Today we will be discussing the new BALTYK album, Self-Help Part 3. BALTYK is a Poland-based artist who has dabbled in indie folk and bedroom rock as early as 2018, debuting on Bandcamp with a gentle, fleeting light. This was created as a self-help album, and his self-exploration would continue similarly onto his preceding Self-Help series. Self-Help Part 1 is a tender, mostly guitar-led indie folk project, which comes from a troubled place, discussing survival as a teenage queer, mental health, and substance abuse. Self-Help Part 2 adds more electronic elements, while continuing the cathartic storytelling of Part 1, touching on isolation, neurosis, and gender dysphoria. He would take a break from this series to explore other ideas, like on 2020's I'll Try Not to Wake You, where he incorporates sequenced beats and bells on a good handful of tracks. My favorite BALTYK album up to this point, 2022's Grapefruit, is a massive standout for me for how strong its writing is, BALTYK truly making the most out of his minimalist style. He would also go on to release an album last year, Hope You Can Hear Me Now, though I was admittedly not as excited by its writing or production, especially when it came to its looping instrumentals and somewhat distracting auto-tune. Self-Help Part 3 marks the final iteration in the Self-Help series and is the most unique of them all. As an older, wiser adult, BALTYK is now able to reflect more deeply on the feelings he expressed on the previous installments, back when he was just 19. In my opinion, this is a remarkable release for him, given its incredible display of maturity, especially in the context of this three-part saga. We start with a short, Wet Dream, a gentle piano ballad where BALTYK describes a beautiful dream he had. It is told so delicately and ends with a nice melodica. What a pretty opener! The energy picks up with the acoustic strumming and tambourine on Disappointment, BALTYK singing about anxiety, potentially incompatibility in a relationship. The chorus here is very strong, and the additive pianos and melodica open up the sound even more while keeping the vibe subtle. BALTYK's streak continues with a pretty acoustic ballad that is What's Left of You, a love song with some of the most touching sentiments about adoration. A subtle but a lovely one. There's a definite Sufjan Stevens sort of vibe to this. The next track, Critters, continues the love-focused lyrics, BALTYK describing how he feels safe with the one he loves. I do love the 70s rock keyboards on this, but the picky side of me feels the drums and the synth layering in the second half feel somewhat stiff. Nonverbal Love Language, the lead single, has only grown on me more since I first heard it. Its delicate sentiments about love and commitment come off so tenderly with the intimate piano work. This track also incorporates electronic drums and synths, but in a way I prefer much more to the last track. I like the tones BALTYK chooses, and though they come in abruptly in the second half, I still feel they blend in with the rest of the instrumental while keeping things light. A definite earworm. Delicate Cycle seems to dive even deeper into the mental health side of the Self-Help series, BALTYK discussing what reads like a gradual recovery from trauma. The metaphors on this are very pretty in the first half, and the meta-writing in the second half addressing his past self is extremely heartening. These beautiful lyrics are delivered over soft acoustics and melodica. What a gorgeous track. Next is The Gradient, probably the most abstract song on this album, lyrically. I enjoy the delicate pianos and keyboards, as well as BALTYK's vocal melodies. The echoed xylophones at the end are pretty standout, as well. I can admit some of the drum tones come off a bit stiff for me here, too, though, especially when it comes to the sequenced drum pattern at the end. Following this is one of the most touching tracks on the album, It's Alright, whose chorus reflects on the writing for the song itself. BALTYK reveals the song's old theme revolving around cops, was forgotten about, and the lyrics were rewritten to be about him and his lover. More specifically, he writes, This song is old now, it's about us now, and how it's alright. There is something about this single sentiment that speaks volumes to the growth BALTYK has gone through since his teen years, and it makes me so proud of him hearing how he has been able to find peace as an adult. Of course, his vocals sound beautiful on this too, and pair amazingly with the equally tender acoustics, sequenced beat, and melodica. If you only listen to one song, let it be this one, Oh My Woofness. Moving on, we get Oxygen, a minimalist piano ballad broken up halfway through with a spoken word section. BALTYK seemingly vents his self-consciousness or fear of vulnerability in evocative and abstract ways lyrically. The sequenced drums at the end of this one match the vibe well. I like the more playful approach to piano playing he tries here as well. The quality continues with Nothing Will Change, an intimate acoustic ballad where BALTYK takes an interesting angle lyrically. Based on his writing, he is seemingly still working on fighting some of his previous demons in spite of the good that is now in his life. The melodies on here are simple but gorgeous. The spotlit vocals certainly stand out. We end on what I feel is the spiritual closer of the album, You're All I Ever Knew, Love. BALTYK gets meta again, opening the song with lines that intriguingly dismiss his songwriting as a form of self-help, going on to almost have a conversation with his younger self about how he still struggles to deal with past pains. This is certainly a self-aware but bittersweet ending for the self-help series, though I suppose the road to bettering one's mental health can never be easy. I will admit the tune itself is not my favorite on the record, same for the prominent bass and accordion tones, which I found stiff, but I do like the subtle bits of piano and the overall meaning. After this, we get a meditative moment on Cross Country, which feels like a footnote of sorts. We hear glassy textures and a voice memo of BALTYK, I assume, discussing his mental health struggles and his fear of death. As a closing track, it does feel somewhat inconsequential, but I appreciate it for the emotional weight it presents and how open BALTYK is willing to be with a listener. Overall, I thought this was an amazing release from BALTYK, certainly the best iteration of the self-help series, and definitely one of my favorite albums I have ever heard from him. The emotional depth on this LP is undeniable, and his tender vocals and instrumentals sound really great, given how cleanly this is produced. If you enjoy introspective, delicate indie music, this is a beautiful project you will not want to miss. BALTYK, you shuffled my woofs. Woof woof.
This song is old now.